Fit Babes. We are here with the Fit Babe Catie. Very excited to chat with you. Tell us what drew you into 90 Day Fit Babe Body.
Yeah, so I was actually following Lauren on Instagram, as that's how many of us find Lauren, and loved the tips. And I also, like a lot of us, I had gone through the last couple of years of the pandemic, and my whole schedule, my whole routine was completely thrown off. So I went from like walking a lot and getting a lot of steps in, and like honestly being probably too on the go to get proper meals half the time. So that, I'm not saying I had a great routine before either, but I, went from that to being like just very, I wasn't walking a lot. I wasn't really exercising. And my diet was just kind of like whatever. I was at home. I was probably using food as comfort, and I was not really thinking about, making nutritious choices. And so a lot of like what I had done before that I could probably get away with because I was so active became like slowly putting on pounds like over the course of the pandemic. And then, I found that like my pants weren't fitting anymore, and like I just didn't feel good about myself anymore. And my energy was really low. And I just like realized at a point that I just needed to do something real and make a change. I actually tried a couple of like other dieting kind of tools and platforms, and it didn't really work for me. I was too hungry. I was never able to get through something for more than a few weeks. So I would see the scale move, but then I would go back up. And so I really liked Lauren's content, and I just figured like, this looks like something that might bring more of a solution of more longevity for me. So I thought I would give it a try.
Absolutely. And as you're saying your story, I'm thinking back to our initial call, and I'm thinking of your hubby, I believe, like his cooking and everything. Like I remember us talking about that on the first call. And not that like you can't have the same portions as your significant other, but having that dynamic of like being with someone and living with them and their portions and their schedule being slightly different than yours. Plus we have the pandemic and all these lifestyle changes. It's really tough to navigate like what is actually going to work for your body.
Yeah. And he's actually a physical therapist. So he's very active. Like he's walking around all day to appointments, showing clients how to do like workouts. So
how did I not know he's a physical therapist?
I don't know. I mean, I never brought this up, but he was also like way more active than I was. So what he could consume, and he wasn't snacking because he was busy all day. So what he could consume in a meal, like it wasn't just because he's like a guy and he's taller than me and blah, 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 but he actually like was more active than I was. So like that was throwing off my routine a lot as well, because I would, he would cook or we would cook together, and then like portion sizes just kind of went out the window because I was seeing what portions he ate, and I just got used to eating that. And that was not how I ate before. So yeah, unfortunately, I think getting married too was like part of initially an adjustment for me, because I had to like relearn like how to eat, and I lost a lot of my healthier portion size habits.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so going through 90 Day Fit Babe Body, you're at the end of the program, you're literally in your final week. What has been your biggest takeaway or maybe takeaways from the program?
One, I'm just really proud that I stuck to something for 90 days, because that is by far the longest that I've ever stuck to like a diet. I don't even like to call it that, but like a program around, wellness. And so I think one, just the consistency that I learned through that long time period was really good for me. I think it was a good length of time for me for a program to like build those daily habits, see them work. And obviously like, the takeaway that like you and I had the conversation in the beginning where I was like, I want to lose like 30 pounds. And you're like, well, this isn't like a sprint, this is a marathon. Like, let's lose like a healthy amount of weight during this like time period. And then, through the program, I learned, you can burn fat and like, gain muscle, and that like, it's not just about like the amount of pounds you lose, but also just like the body changes you see in yourself. And I noticed that like I felt a lot skinnier. Like I think I'm around like 13 pounds down now, which is amazing. It's not 30, but it's like, it feels like more than that actually, because I'm down like a pant size. Like my pants I was wearing like at the beginning of the program, like are just too baggy on me. I'm now wearing my jeans again that I used to wear like pre-pandemic. And it feels like more than, I'm like on the taller side. So 13 pounds sometimes like wouldn't necessarily be visible, but it's very visible on me. So I think that like building those daily healthy habits, like realizing not all weight loss is created equal. And that like now I just feel like I know how to eat in a sustainable way, so that even on the days where like I don't track perfectly anymore, I used to be like, so like I tracked every single thing every second. And now it's like, if it's a weekend, I'm like out and about and I don't track like a day, then I don't worry about it as much, because I've kind of built the habits to like know how to eat like proper meals and proper snacks to, you know, stay satiated and not feel hungry all the time and just be eating crap and have crappy energy.
Absolutely. Yeah. From going from tracking and like putting in that grunt work up front to getting to the place where you have that as a tool, but you're truly using it as a tool, and it's not the diet. It's your diet is the way that you eat and your habits. And I know I say that all the time. But I think also too, was really epic is the fact that yes, you had this like envisioned, like, okay, 30 pounds down is what's going to make me really happy. But you're falling in love with the healthy lifestyle, you're falling in love with the journey, and also like really bringing it back to the fact that ultimately every woman's goal is to see the progress photos change. Every woman's goal is to fit back into the jeans that were too tight and have to buy new clothes. And sometimes women don't want to buy new clothes, but that's a different conversation. But you're really seeing that physical progress, and you're right on the money, right? Like it is not just about losing weight, it's about losing weight, keeping it off, but also actually changing the way that you look, because you could lose 30 pounds, but you might not really look like you lost 30 pounds if the composition changes aren't quite there.
Yeah, exactly. Like in my progress photos, I actually have to send my recent ones. I haven't even sent them in yet, but
That.
have my like first set of progress photos where I just like look all around like a little bit like more toned. And then I have my next set of progress photos where it's like my back fat finally went away and my arm fat, which is like where I'd put on weight. And that's a place I'd never put on weight before. And then like my like most recent set of progress photos, like my stomach fat is starting to go away, which like I hadn't seen yet. And I'm like, oh my God, thank God. Like I'm like actually starting
And
to.
that's why we take progress photos, girlfriend.
Yeah, like you can see the progression. It's really wild. So like I could feel it in my clothes, but like you can see it actually like happening through the photos. And at the beginning it was like every 4 weeks felt like such a long period of time. And now it's like it just flies by. Like I just, I'm kind of used to the way I eat now, and it doesn't feel like a slog to like get through the program.
I love it. Absolutely. If you had someone like yourself 90 days ago, struggling with their weight, doing programs, doing plans and apps and things weren't working, would you recommend 90 Day Fit Babe Body? And most specifically, why would you recommend it?
Definitely. I think I have actually recommended it to a couple of friends. So I have to check in and see if I've gotten them to like actually pursue it. So I know everyone has to be in the mindset and like ready to take the leap. But for me, I would definitely recommend it. And I think, the biggest adjustment is just learning that like it doesn't need to be hard work. It needs to be consistent work. And that's what I learned in the program. And so I feel like for everybody who's just feels like you've worked so hard and you haven't seen results, or you haven't seen consistent results, or you're worried about having to work really hard, like you can kind of quell that fear, because you don't have to actually work exceptionally hard. You can just make some small adjustments, maybe do a little hard work in the beginning, but then it becomes a lot easier because it becomes a habit, and then just stick to it. And if you stick to that, then you can start to see results in a more sustainable way over time. And that's what's really felt like for me. Like I wasn't losing 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds every week, but I was consistently losing weight. I was having days where I was with my friends and I would get drinks, or I would have ice cream, or like whatever I was doing. Like I still enjoyed that stuff during the program. So I didn't have to put my life on hold. But because I was so consistent, and I still like, even if I had a day where I indulged, like I would get right back on track. I feel like I still was able to like live my life and get results. So I think that for me is like not having that guilt and feeling like that's part of the program and that's okay, and that we're going to like do this for a lifetime. That was like the biggest revelation for me. So it makes it feel easy for me to recommend it to people, because it's something that I stand by, and I think has actually like been life-changing for me to learn how to change my behavior. My energy is so much better too. So it's like, if I'm recommending it, I'm like, I'm recommending it because I'm like excited. I feel better. And it's, yeah, I don't know. I feel like definitely like a marked difference. So, that was like a lot of reasons why I'd recommend it, I guess.
I love it, Katie. You are a fit babe for life. Thank you.
Thank you.